The first time my nephew's school called about his attendance, I thought they had the wrong number. Then the secretary read his home address. It was mine. Connor had never lived with me, neither had his sister, but according to the school, both children did. I remember staring at my desk like the answer might be sitting somewhere between my coffee mug and my keyboard. "I'm sorry," I said. "Can you repeat the address?" The woman did. My street, my house number, my zip code, everything. "That's my address." "Yes, ma'am. But Connor doesn't live there." There was a pause, a long one. Then the woman's tone changed. "You're Rachel Morgan?" "Yes." "And you're listed as an emergency contact." "That part might be right." "Okay. But Connor lives with his parents." Another pause. "Would you like me to have someone from the office contact you?" I looked around my cubicle. It was 9:20 on a Tuesday morning. I had a shipment report open on one screen and 3 unread emails waiting on the other. 5 minutes earlier, the biggest problem in my day had been a supplier delay. Now my nephew's school thought he lived in my house. "Yes," I said, "please." I hung up and called my younger sister Melissa. She didn't answer. I called again. Voicemail. So I texted, "Why does Connor's school think he lives at my address?" The typing bubble appeared almost immediately, then disappeared, then came back, finally, "Call me at lunch." That was enough. If this had been a clerical error, Melissa would have said so. Instead, she wanted time. I called again. This time she answered. "Rachel, I'm at work." "So am I." "I said I'll call you at lunch." "No, tell me why Brookfield Elementary has my address." Silence. Then she sighed. "It's not a big deal." My stomach tightened. What isn't a big deal? "We used your address for enrollment." For a second I honestly thought she might be joking. "You did what?" "The schools over here are terrible." "Melissa, you know they are. That is not what I'm asking." She lowered her voice. "I'm standing behind the front desk. Can we not do this right now?" "You used my home address without asking me." "It's just an address. It's my address. Nobody is taking anything from you." That sentence would come back several times. I wasn't losing money. Nobody had moved into my house. Nothing physical had been taken. Therefore, in Melissa's mind, nothing important had happened. "Take it off." "What?" "Correct the school records." She went quiet. "Rachel, they've already been there since August." It was October, 2 months. "You've been doing this for 2 months?" "Lily started middle school there too." I closed my eyes. "Both of them?" "Yes." "Without telling me?" "I knew you'd make it complicated." I actually laughed once, not because anything was funny. "You mean you knew I'd say no?" "Same difference." "No, it isn't." She exhaled. "Look, Lily is doing really well. Connor finally likes school. Brookfield has smaller classes, better programs, better everything. They're settled." "That's not permission." "I'm not asking you to pay anything." "You already did it." "Exactly. It's done." That was her logic. The fact that she'd crossed the line already somehow became an argument for why I should accept it. "I want my address removed." "Rachel, please." "No." "Think about the kids." "I am thinking about the kids." "Then why would you blow up their school year?" That phrase hit me harder than I expected. Blow up their school year. As if I had created the situation. "I didn't enroll them using false information." "You don't have to call it false." "Do they live with me?" Silence. "Melissa?" "No." "Then it's false." She hung up. 10 minutes later, my mother called. Of course she did. "Rachel." "Hi, Mom." "Melissa is crying." "Then she should probably stop using my address." Mom sighed. "Can you just listen for a minute?" "I've listened." The kids are doing so well there. I know. Lily joined the science club. I know. Connor's teacher loves him. Great. Then why are you trying to ruin this? I leaned back in my chair. There it was. I had known about the problem for less than an hour. Already I had become the person threatening the children. Did you know? Mom went quiet. Know what? That Melissa used my address? Another pause. She mentioned it. When? Rachel, when? Sometime this summer. I stared at the wall. You knew before school started. I knew she was trying to figure out options. That's not what I asked. Mom's voice became firmer. Yes, I knew. And nobody thought to ask me? We knew how you would react. I almost couldn't believe the consistency. Everyone had treated my likely refusal as a reason not to ask. Mom, you don't get to skip consent because you don't like the answer. Oh, please. This isn't some contract. It's my house. They're not living there. Exactly. Mom exhaled. Can't you just leave it alone? No. They're already there. That's not my problem. It becomes your problem when you're the one making an issue out of it. I closed my eyes. I wasn't going to win this conversation, not because I was wrong, because Mom had already decided the outcome mattered more than the method. Take care of your work, she said. Think about it before you do anything. I've thought about it. Rachel. Bye, Mom. I hung up. For the rest of that day, I tried to focus. I couldn't. Every time my phone buzzed, I expected another school. That evening, I checked my mailbox. There was an envelope from Brookfield Elementary, addressed to Parent Guardian of Lily Walker and Connor Walker, at my house. I stood on my porch reading it twice. Parent, Guardian. Not emergency contact, not aunt. Parent, Guardian. I called the school the next morning. I kept my tone calm. I received mail regarding my niece and nephew. I need to understand what role I'm listed under. The office assistant transferred me twice. Eventually, I spoke with someone named Mrs. Alvarez. She was polite, careful. I can confirm you're listed as an emergency contact. Only emergency contact? She hesitated. You're also listed as an authorized pickup. I never agreed to that. Okay. And the children do not live with me. Another careful pause. Would you like to submit a correction? Yes. We may need the parent to update the enrollment information. That's part of the problem. I explained only the minimum. My sister had used my address. I had just discovered it. I did not consent. Mrs. Alvarez didn't accuse anyone. She didn't turn dramatic. She simply said, I'll document your concern and have our registrar follow up. That was it. No police, no threats, just documentation. But even that terrified Melissa. She called me that night. You contacted the school? Yes. What did you say? The truth. Rachel, what did you expect me to do? Talk to me first. I actually laughed. You used my address for 2 months without talking to me. That's different. How? Because I was doing something for the kids, and I'm protecting myself. From what? I don't even know yet. That's the problem. Melissa went quiet. Then she said, You were already their emergency contact. I remembered that. 2 years earlier, she'd asked if she could put my phone number on some school forms. I had said yes. At the time, I thought it meant, if Melissa and Jason can't be reached, call Aunt Rachel. That was it. I agreed to my phone number. Exactly. No, not exactly. You're acting like I invented a whole identity. I didn't know then how close that sentence was to the truth. Over the next week, the school communication kept coming. An automated absence notice for Connor. A reminder about Lily's field trip form. An email about parent-teacher conferences. I started forwarding everything to Melissa. Then I stopped. It wasn't my job to manage the administrative consequences of paperwork I hadn't created. Mrs. Alvarez called again on Friday. "We're updating your contact information." "Thank you. There's something I need to clarify." "Okay." "You're listed not only as emergency contact and authorized pickup. On one of the supplementary forms, you're identified as a backup caregiver." I went completely still. "What does that mean?" She explained in general terms. "It doesn't make me a legal guardian. It didn't transfer custody. It simply suggested I was someone regularly involved in care and pickup." But that was still more than I had ever agreed to. "Can you send me a copy of the form that has my information?" She told me what they could provide and what would need to go through Melissa as the parent. I wasn't interested in turning it into a procedural battle. I just wanted to know what my name was attached to. By Monday, I had a copy of one form where my information appeared. Name, phone number, address, relationship. Then I reached the bottom. There was a signature. My name. Written in handwriting that looked close enough to mine to make my stomach turn. Not perfect, but close. I stared at it. Then I pulled an old, signed birthday card from a drawer. The capital R was different. The spacing was wrong. The slant was wrong. I knew instantly. I hadn't signed that form. I called Melissa. She answered. "Rachel, I'm working. I have a form in front of me." Silence. "My name is signed at the bottom." Another silence. "I didn't sign it." "Rachel, did you sign my name?" "It's just paperwork." I felt heat rise into my face. "Did you sign my name?" "I needed everything to match." "Match what?" "The address." There it was. Not accidental, not clerical. A construction. Address, contact role, caregiver status, signature. Each piece made the others look more believable. "You signed my name." I filled out the form. With my name. Because the form needed— "Stop!" She went quiet. "You don't get to explain this like it's a formatting issue." "No one is trying to hurt you." "Why do you keep saying that?" "Because you're acting like you're a victim." I couldn't believe it. "I never said I was a victim." "Then stop acting like I committed some terrible crime against you." "I'm telling you to stop using my information." "Fine." "Not fine. Fix it." "You know what happens if I fix it?" "The school asks questions. The kids could get transferred." "Then you should have thought about that before enrolling them this way." That ended the call. My hands shook for several minutes afterward. Not because I was terrified of the school. Because I finally understood how deliberate it had been. Melissa hadn't just borrowed an address. She had used my credibility. That evening, Dad called. He was quieter than Mom. "Your mother says things are getting bad." "Things were already bad. I just found out," he sighed. "I know." "Did you know about the signature?" "No." That answer came fast. I believed him. "Did you know about the address?" "Yes." "Why didn't you say anything?" He paused. "I didn't think it would go this far." "What did you think would happen?" "I thought maybe they'd get through the year." "So you thought I just wouldn't find out?" "I don't know." At least Dad sounded uncomfortable. That was more than I could say for Mom. 2 days later, I went to their house. I needed one conversation without phones. Mom was in the kitchen. Dad sat at the table. I put the copy of the form down. "Did you know about this?" Mom looked at the signature. Her expression changed slightly. "Melissa filled that out?" "Yes." "Did you know?" I knew she had to complete paperwork. "That's not what I asked." Mom crossed her arms. "Rachel, I don't know every detail." "Did Melissa ever tell you she was worried I'd find out?" That made Mom hesitate. There, I saw it. She mentioned you might not like it. Not like it? She knew you'd be strict about your address. My address is not a seasoning preference. Don't be sarcastic. I'm trying very hard not to scream. Dad looked down. Mom finally said, Melissa was afraid you'd call the school. And what did you tell her? Silence. Mom. She looked at me. I told her you wouldn't do anything that would hurt Lily and Connor. For a moment, the entire room felt smaller. That sentence changed the story for me. They weren't counting on me never finding out. They were counting on me loving the kids too much to tell the truth once I did. I sat down. So that was the plan. There was no plan. Yes, there was. Rachel, you knew I might object. You told her it would be fine because I wouldn't risk the kids. I know you love them. Exactly. Mom seemed genuinely confused about why that was wrong. I thought you'd understand. No, you thought you'd found the one thing that would make my answer irrelevant. Dad looked at her. Carol. What? He spoke carefully. She has a point. Mom turned on him. Don't start. I'm not starting anything. You agreed the kids needed a better school. I did. And maybe we should have told Rachel. Mom stood up. Fine. We should have told her. Is that what everyone needs me to say? No. I looked at her. I need you to stop asking me to participate. Mom's voice sharpened. Nobody is asking you to do anything. They already are. You don't have to fill out more forms. Melissa wants me to confirm the address. Mom didn't answer. That was enough. The following week, the district contacted Melissa about residency verification. I didn't know every reason. I didn't need to. Maybe my correction triggered a review. Maybe something else didn't match. The point was that the school wanted clarification. Melissa called me late that evening. She sounded different. Scared. They're asking for more residency information. Okay. Rachel, please. No. You don't even know what I'm going to ask. I do. They just need to know the kids spend time there. They do spend time here sometimes. Exactly. But they don't live here. You don't have to say live. What do you want me to say? That they stay there during the week sometimes. They don't. Connor has slept there on school nights. Twice. Lily too. That doesn't make my house their residence. Melissa's voice cracked. You don't understand what you're doing. There it was again. What I was doing. Not what she had done. If they get moved, Lily will be devastated. I know. Connor finally likes school. I know. So just confirm it. No. Rachel, no. She started crying. Real crying. And I hated that. Because Melissa wasn't a cartoon villain. She loved her children. She genuinely believed she'd found a way to give them something better. But loving them didn't make me responsible for making her lie sustainable. You don't even have to lie, she said. They stay with you. Sometimes isn't living here? Why are you being so technical? Because the technical part is the entire issue. She hung up. The next day, Lily texted me. Can I call you? I said yes. Her voice was small. Aunt Rachel? Hey, sweetheart. Mom says there might be a problem with school. I closed my eyes. Okay. Am I going to have to leave because of you? That question hurt more than everything else combined. Not because Lily was accusing me, she wasn't. She sounded scared. I took a breath. No. But Mom said the school is asking about your house. I know. Did you tell them we don't live there? Yes. Silence. Then, so if they make us leave, it's because you told them? I chose my words carefully. If anything changes, it's because adults made decisions they should have talked about first. She didn't say anything. You didn't do anything wrong. Okay. Connor didn't either. Okay. And I love you whether you go to Brookfield or somewhere else. She sniffed. I like Brookfield. I know. That was the hardest part. If Brookfield had been terrible, this would have been easier. But Lily was thriving. Connor liked his teacher. The children were benefiting. And that was exactly why everyone thought I should cooperate. Good outcomes were being used to excuse bad decisions. Lily said, Mom said you didn't know at first. That's true. She said she thought you'd be okay with it. I almost smiled sadly. I'm sure she hoped I would be. Are you mad at her? Yes. Are you mad at us? Never. That mattered. I needed the kids to understand that distinction. The conflict belonged to adults. A few days later, I received a request to clarify information at a residency review meeting. Nothing dramatic. No courtroom, no threats. Just a meeting. Still, the moment I told Melissa, she panicked. You can't go in there and make this worse. I'm not making anything worse. Bring nothing. What? Just answer what they ask. That's what I plan to do. Rachel, what? Please don't show them our texts. I went quiet. That told me she already knew exactly what the texts proved. Mom called that evening. Your sister says you're collecting messages. I'm keeping records. Why? Because my name is on documents I didn't sign. You don't need to make this adversarial. Mom, it already is. Just say the children stay with you. They don't. They stay sometimes. That isn't the question. Mom became frustrated. Why are you so determined to be right? I laughed softly. This isn't about being right. Then what is it about? Not lying when someone asks me a direct question. She went silent. I spent the next evening organizing everything. Not to punish Melissa, not to humiliate Mom, just so I wouldn't get confused or pressured in the moment. The first text where I told Melissa to correct the address, her response. The message where she said it was just an address. The copy of the form, the signature, the messages from Mom telling me to leave it alone. I printed only what seemed relevant. Then I put everything in a folder. That folder sat on my kitchen table overnight. I barely slept. The meeting was Thursday afternoon. Melissa and Jason were there. Jason looked exhausted. He had stayed quieter than Melissa through most of the conflict, but he had benefited too. He had known enough. Mom wasn't part of the meeting. That was probably for the best. We sat across from two district staff members. One asked routine questions. Where did Lily and Connor sleep during the week? Who transported them? What address did they consider home? Melissa answered first. She talked around things. The children spent time with family. Rachel helped. Schedules were complicated. Then the staff member looked at me. Ms. Morgan, do Lily and Connor reside at your address? That was it. The whole story had been moving toward one sentence. Melissa looked at me. Jason looked down. I thought about Lily asking if this was because of me. I thought about Mom telling Melissa I would never do anything that hurt the children. I thought about the signature. Then I said, no. Nothing exploded. No one shouted. The staff member simply nodded and wrote something down. Have they ever resided there? No. Have they stayed overnight? Occasionally, as family visits. Did you authorize your address to be used for enrollment? No. Melissa shifted beside me. Did you agree to be listed as an emergency contact? Yes. Years ago, I agreed that Melissa could use my phone number as an emergency contact. I pointed to the form. I did not agree to be represented as a backup caregiver or resident. Then, is this your signature? I looked at it. No, Melissa whispered. Rachel. I didn't turn toward her. The staff member asked, "You did not sign this?" No. That was all. I didn't accuse Melissa of forging it. I didn't speculate. I simply stated what I knew. I had not signed it. They asked a few more questions, then the meeting ended. No dramatic decision was announced in the room. The district said they would handle the enrollment matter with the parents. That was exactly how it should have been. Parents, not me. Outside, Melissa caught up with me. "You could have helped." I stopped. "I did help." She stared at me. "How?" "I told the truth, so my name isn't part of this anymore." "That's not helping." "Not the kind you wanted." Her eyes filled. "Lily is going to hate me." "No, she won't." "You don't know that. Then tell her the truth." She looked angry. "What truth?" "That you wanted a better school and made a decision without asking me." "You make it sound so simple." "It is simple." "No, Rachel, it isn't. You don't have kids. You don't know what it's like to watch them get fewer opportunities because of where you can afford to live." That landed. Because she was right about one thing. I didn't know that feeling. I softened. "I don't." She looked surprised. "But you still had to ask me." Melissa looked away. That was the last thing I said. The school issue took time to resolve. I deliberately stayed out of the details unless someone needed to correct information connected to me. The children's parents handled it. That was the point. There were changes. There were difficult conversations. There were options they had to consider. I didn't celebrate any of it. Lily was upset. Connor mostly wanted to know if he could keep seeing his friends. I kept showing up as their aunt. I took Lily for lunch one Saturday. We talked about school for maybe 5 minutes. Then she spent 20 minutes telling me about a science project. Connor came over for a movie night a few weeks later. Nothing about my relationship with them had to disappear just because I had refused to support the paperwork. Mom stayed angry longer. At Thanksgiving, she barely spoke to me until dessert. Dad finally said, "Carol, enough." She looked at him. He continued, "They should have asked Rachel before using her name." Mom didn't agree, but she didn't argue either. That was progress. Melissa and I became more distant for a while. Not no contact, not dramatic, just careful. Then, several months later, she texted me. "Connor's summer program needs an emergency contact. Can I put your number down?" "Emergency contact only. No address." I read the message twice. Then I replied, "Send me the form wording first." She did. I read it. It was exactly what she said. Emergency contact, phone number, relationship, nothing else. I thought about it for a minute, then, "Yes, you can use my number for that." Her reply came quickly. "Thank you." That was the difference. My name could still appear on family forms. My phone number could still help. I could still be the reliable aunt. But now the process began where it should have begun all along, with a question and an answer. If your sister used your address to enroll her children in your school district without asking you, would you tell the school the truth? And who crossed the bigger line, my sister for using my information, or my mother for knowing about it and counting on me to stay quiet because I loved the kids? Tell me what you think in the comments. If you enjoy family drama stories about betrayal, family pressure, boundaries, and the moment helping becomes something people assume they can demand, like the video and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching.